Shalom. Shalom Israel. First, I'd like to begin this lesson by giving all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone that rule well. Excitation and blessing to the sincere Akim, pushing this word in all sincerity and in all truth to the four corners of the globe. Right. This is Howard. Here to do a video to the Spirit, and hopefully this video will be edifying. Alright, and I want to base this video off of health, right? This is off of, it's more like a exhortation for brothers who tend to abuse the self with how to put it, boy? I want to use a proper word. Basically, I want to use jugs. Right? But with alcohol, right? With alcohol. I put it like that. Legal drugs, right? We know that drugs, when I say legal drugs, all drugs have effects to a certain extent to kill, right? Get intoxicated. When you're intoxicated, there's a spirit will just take over you, right? And that spirit tend to lead you to do unusual things. And as many be truth, I see a lot of brothers get influenced by drugs, like alcohol. I'm gonna stop saying drug, and lead them to do and act a certain type of way. I always say, the truth comes out when you're drunk. So you're actually showing your real self, and I just want to go into the harms that these drugs or alcohol could do to the body, right? Because as I get older, when I came into this truth, brother, I used to say, I is not a strong alcohol drinker. I don't like drinking alcohol, all that. I'm not a big fan of that. I more was a fan of wine when I was growing up. I like wine. Like strong drinks and all them things. I never really was interested in that. Maybe to try it out, yeah. But I wasn't a fan of that. I used to love to drink wine, whatever the case might be, but I was always moderate when I was drinking. I get drunk, whatever the case might be, yeah. But it have men who tend to get drunk all the time, right? And that is not a good look. And I want to press on that. I want to press on the effects and the damages that alcohol do to the body. And if you're in this truth, you're supposed to be a spiritual person, You're supposed to be spiritual in this walk. You're supposed to be able to know what's the do's and the don'ts. You're supposed to have limits, right? You're supposed to have limits, right? To certain things, right? And learning, it had no limit. But when it comes to, damaging or abuse, substance abuse, like that, yeah. So I'll look up the word methanol, right? It says methanol, also a substance, is not toxic in itself, but when ingested, it is converted into highly toxic formic acid, which may result in multiple organ failure, blindness, brain damage, and even death. Now, methanol, yeah, we're going to it step by step. It says outbreaks of methanol poisoning often occurs when methanol is added to alcoholic drinks for making money, right? So hold on. Right, so here it is now. Here we go. It says what drinks are high in methanol. It says any alcohol beverage, but it's most likely found in drinks with higher alcohol content, which as spirits, traditional brews, drinks such as fruit wines. In other words, things like diamond coconut. I'm going to talk about down here. Diamond coconut. Them they call it all variety of fruit drinks. You know, I can name none of them. It had them vodkas was making white oak and all them thing. Right? All them spirits. Right? So these things are high in methanol, and methanol is a form of sugar. Right? That if it is you continue, that's why when you go to the doctor will tell you, hey, you have to cut down on the alcohol. Right? You have to stop the alcohol because it will kill you. Right? And as a man of the Lord, you know, as I said before, you have to know your limits. Right? You have to know your limits. So then when let's get a scripture, I want to blah blah. Is Proverbs Proverbs 31 and verses 5. It says I'll start from 1. I'm gonna see 4. It says, it is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drinks, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the judgment. For any of the afflicted, give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be heavy hearted. And that is the state of Israel, especially the men of the Lord. Let me get in a different version right here real quick. It says in the ISV, it says, give liquor to someone who is perishing, and wine to someone who is deeply depressed. Let him drink, forget his poverty, and remember his troubles no more. You know, and when I came into the truth, you know, when I used to read the scripture, in the sense you know, to defend their habits or their love for alcohol. You know, when I might say, I gotta learn, you gotta hold up and you gotta know your limit. You know, the strong drink team that ready to perish. You know, and you know, brothers will also quote this scripture. I think it's in 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy 5, right? 5 and 23. This is when the Timothy told Apostle Paul told Timothy. Yeah, we'll make sure, right? Hopefully this video edifying, just through the spirit I'm doing this video. I don't know, mainly I'm doing, I ain't calling on them, but mainly I'm doing this video. Hopefully it will edify a particular brother. You know, hopefully it might reach out to other brothers who love alcohol, who love rum, and really don't know how to control themselves, and don't know really and truly the dangers of how serious alcohol could really be, especially when you reach at a certain age in your life. You know? And that is the next thing. You know, when you reach a certain age and you're inactive, if you're inactive, that is the next thing. You know? Some men's sins wrong. You see how the scripture, you see how the spirit is? Drink no longer water, right? This is in the commentary. It says Timothy charged to take care of his health. Right? And as I was saying before, this is a scripture. It's one of the main scriptures they would bring. But I don't think they understood what it meant. You know? It wasn't meant by, hey, drink no longer water. You know, and but a little wine for thy stomach's sake. You know, it didn't mean to substitute wine is a substitute now for water, or you're replacing water for wine because should I change water into wine? No. That's a foolish way of thinking just to support your habit, and you're supporting your habit by using the scriptures, which is a form of wickedness in a sense. You know, that wicked, you know. So it says the first thought, I didn't read this yet, Well, I just bounce up and nugget there and I say, woo. So this is in the band's commentary, right? It says, 1 Timothy 5:23, drink no longer water. It says, there has been much difficulty felt in the regards. Yeah, it's like so it says, there has been much difficulty felt in regards to, in regards to the connection which this advice has with what precedes and what follows. Many have considered the difficulty to be so great that they have supposed that this verse has been displayed and that it should be introduced in some other connections. The true connection and the reason for the introduction of the counsel here seems to me to be this. Paul appeared to have been suddenly impressed with a thought which is very likely to come over a man who is writing on the duties of the ministry, of the odious nature of the ministerial office. He was giving counsel to regard to an office which requires a great amount of labor, care, and anxiety. The labors enjoined were such as to demand all the time the care and anxiety incident to such a change would be very likely to prostrate the frame and the injury of health. Then he remembered that Timothy was yet but a youth. He recalled his feebleness of constitution and his frequent attacks of illness. He recollected the very abstemious habits which he had prescribed for himself, and in this connection he urged him to take a careful regard of his health and subscribe the use of small quantities of wine. Now, And there's a flip side there, right? Because this video I doing here is concerning the abuse of alcohol. Now, this saying is that Timothy, or Apostle Paul, was advising Timothy because he was ill. You know, he had some illness, for him to use a little bit of wine. But here we see, it says quantity. Here it is, here it goes. It says a quantity of wine mingled with water as a suitable medicine. In his case, thus considered, thus considered this direction as worthy to be given by an inspired teacher, as it is too. Counsel a man to pay a proper regard to his health and not needlessly to throw away his life. All right. Compare Matthew 10. Let me see what Matthew 10 and 23 says. It says, so when they persecuted you in one town, flee to the next, because I tell you, all of you, with certainty, that you will not have gone through the tongue of Israel before the Son of Man. Alright, it says, perhaps drink no longer water, the quote unquote, is equivalent to drink not water only. See numerous instances in Westerning. The Greek word here used does not elsewhere occur in the New Testament, but use a little wine. So it says now mingle with the water, the common method of drinking wine in the East. See Robinson, Bibliotheca, Chakra, one, right, for thy stomach's sake. It says it was, I'm coming back to but use a little wine just now. It says for thy stomach's sake, it says it was not for the pleasure to be derived from the use of wine, or because it would produce hilarity or excitement, but solemnly because it was regarded as necessary for the promotion of health. That is, as a medicine, right? Right, so jumping back up, it says in the Eastern hemisphere, what they used to do, they're not just used to drink wine, you know, but they used to mix wine with water. And that is where it jump back to the Sirac, the freeloading Sirac. You know, change translated in another tongue. There are not the same force in it. And that is just it. So different translators, I know people might think the King James Version is the most accurate. No, King James Version is not the most accurate version. Right? Because here it is, have different version that actually gives you the full and cut. Right? For you to have the proper understanding of what it really meant, or what the word really mean. So the flip side is men will use, or brothers will use wine for the pleasure of drinking, the pleasure of marrying the soul, or even use it, in this case, at the video, in excessively, that they overdrink and they get drunk, that they don't even know themselves. They don't even know the reach home. You know, and I saw this on a few occasions, well, you know, and that beside the point. The point is the hazard behind drinking or over drinking. So let me go into it a little bit, right? Now this is nothing that I prepared. This is just something of through the Spirit, right? So wherever I type, just bear with me. Hopefully this video will be edifying to whoever. Alright, so I just type in the dangers of strong drinks, right? So it says risk of heavy alcohol use, right? It says certain cancer, such as colorectal cancer, breast cancer, and cancers of the mouth, throat, esophagus, and liver. Right? Liver disease, cardiovascular disease, such as high blood pressure and stroke. Right? What are the side effects of heavy drinking? Heavy drinking takes a toll on the liver, right? And can lead to a variety of problems and liver inflammation, including steatosis. Let's see what's the name of this word. That's the pronunciation of this word. Steatosis. Steatosis is a term healthcare providers use to describe fat buildup in an organ, usually your liver. A healthy, high functional liver contains a small amount of fat. Right? Shit. Right, so as I was saying, steatosis or fatty liver, alcoholic hepatitis, fibrosis, cirrhosis. What are the 5 negative effects of drinking alcohol? We're not studying that, so now I'm going to it a little bit. But wait on this video way too long. Alright, get straight to the points. Alright, it says alcohol interferes with the brain's communication pathway and can affect the way of the brain look and works. These descriptions can change moods, behavior, and make it harder to think clearly and move with coordination. Hard. Drinking a lot over a lot of times or too much on a single occasion can damage the heart, causing problems including cardiomyopathy, stretching and dropping of heart muscles, arrhythmias, regular heartbeat, stroke, high blood pressure. Right? Liver. Heavy drinking takes a toll on the liver and can lead to a variety of problems and liver inflammation, including steatosis or fatty, what we just read, right? Pancreas. Alcohol causes the pancreas to produce a tonic substance that can eventually lead to pancreatitis, a dangerous inflammation in the pancreas that causes it to swell, causes its swelling and pain, which may spread and impairs its ability to make enzymes and hormones for proper digestion. Cancer. According to the National Cancer Institution, there is a strong scientific consensus that alcohol drinking can cause several types of cancer. In its reports on the carcinogen and national toxicology program from the U.S. Department, right? So a variety of problems can occur. The last part, the immune system. Drinking too much can weaken your immune system, making your body a much easier target for disease. Chronic drinkers are more liable to contract disease like um, pneumonia and tuberculosis that people who do not drink much, too much. Drinking a lot of Drinking a lot on a single occasion slows your body's ability to ward off infection even up to 24 hours after getting drunk. Yeah, so these are the dangers of excessive drinking, right? Or overdoing it. Right? So no man in the world is the best drinker. Right? No man in the world is the best drinker. So this is for especially older brethren, right? Who have a love for alcohol and tend to think that they can control it. They're in control. Right? If it is a long period of time now you've been fighting with your brother's been talking to you about the alcohol abuse, note to yourself that you do have a problem, and this is something you're supposed to check out forthwith, because being in this shooting, nobody's supposed to really be going through certain stages that are telling you something over and over just for your own benefit. You know what I mean? These are the dangers. No brother want to see a brother, pass away or die because of alcohol or whatever the case might be, regardless of how wicked this kingdom is. You don't feel good losing a brother. You know what I mean? So hopefully this video was edifying. Let me see if I could get some kind of remember the scripture talk about a deacon. That is what, boy. That is Second Timothy, right? First Timothy 3. I can't remember right. First Timothy 3 and 1, it says, this is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desire a good work. Desire a good work. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach. Right? Not given to wine, no striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, but patient, not brawlers, not covetous. Right? And when you go into issue earlier and truly, the word deacon was added in. If I'm not mistaken, the apostles came bring out that lesson already concerning the word deacon. Is either deacon or bishop. They basically are bringing that scripture basically because it speaks about not given to wine, or in other words, I'm getting a different translation here. Right. First, she says he must not drink excessively or be violent. So it never say he mustn't drink. And as I was saying earlier, the King James Version will say, it might say one thing, not thinking about the King James, but, we know that you could drink. Nothing wrong with drinking. I wish I drank. So he says he must not drink excessively. So you can't overdo it. And excessive drinking is like drinking until you're drunk, drinking until you can't move, drinking until you can't walk, drinking until you throw up. Right? Drinking that the next day you don't even know what happened. So hopefully this video is edifying. Shalom to the Lord's hopeful and sincere elect.